Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Brickoligist Animations show, where Brickoligist Animations, often tackle various topics to do with the new Avengers saga, the Sonic the Hedgehog TLSMS extended universe, the amateur animators, my friends, and loads more. Now, guys, today is a very special episode of the pod because tomorrow is literally the release of the new Avengers and Sonic Squad crossover, The Conquest of Kang. So, in order to celebrate such a momentous occasion, I already interviewed 2x2 Brick Films during the week as the new voice actor in the film playing Wasp. But today, I have some friends that you'll be very familiar with. So please welcome to the stage the real Hamburger
Hello.
and George.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Hamburger, and hello,
Hello.
George. How are you two today? How are you,
Uh, I'm
Hamburger?
I'm good. I am. I've chilled out today, I'd say.
How are you, George?
I'm very good, thank you.
That's absolutely superb to hear. Have you had good weeks as of so far?
Mm, yeah, definitely.
It's been a very challenging one for me, but I'm coming out the other end now. So, yeah, it's a good feeling now that I've gotten over the worst of it. So, yeah, I'm doing all right.
Not too bad, not too bad. It's another honor to have you on the show again. Unfortunately, we're not talking about David Cow this time, but I guess that's the
Yeah.
way the dice rolls sometimes. So yeah, I mean, it is a pleasure, But then again, it's so funny. Like George, I've had you on this podcast for 3 interviews this year. If you're counting this one, like that's kind of bananas. And you're similar enough, Hamburger. You've been on
Yeah.
2 episodes. So yeah,
Mm,
to the say the least, I think you're pretty familiarized with my podcast crowd anyway.
yeah, definitely,
Hmm.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose that I'll ask you this. Did you guys watch the interview earlier in the week with 2x2 Brick Films? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? Starting with you, Hamburger.
Oh, my apologies. I did try getting around to it the best I could, and I never did manage to. I did briefly get to watch the beginning though, and by two breaks, I think it's gonna really fit the role of Ross from what I did here. So.
Yes. Well, that is a good outline, anyway. It's not the first time Rhydian over here like this pulled stunts like this before. He also did watch New Avengers 4,
Just
didn't
for
you, Rhydian?
yeah.
But anyway, I should move on to you, George. I'm not sure you watched the interview or not. Like, did you or what?
Unfortunately, not. No, I apologise, but no, haven't got
uh,
around to
that,
it.
yeah, that's fine. There's a lot more important stuff going on in our group, like and I mean, I suppose, yeah. So, what were your individual reactions to the trailer? Starting firstly with you, George. How did you feel about it?
I really liked it. It's a bit of a longer one, but I quite liked that because it it showed a lot of the film, and I feel like I mean personally I prefer longer trailers because I like to know what I'm going to watch. I don't like just seeing a very short teaser because yeah, this was on the longer side when it comes to trailers. It
It
looked very
was.
good. I'm very excited to see how this comes out because it's been hyped for a while.
Yes. As we know over here, George is playing the main villain in the film, that being Kang. And George, just to get a viewer perspective on it, what's it like, to play, one of Marvel's biggest villains, in such a big film, like, for the biggest member in the group in general. Like, what's that like?
It's awesome. The fact that I've been selected out of the myriad of people you could have chosen, I'm very honoured.
Yes, and yeah, I suppose that George is right, lads, and I can even say that George will be playing another character in the film. But as for what character that is, I haven't teased yet, but I'm sure you guys will like it. So I'm gonna move on to you now, Hamburger Rhydian. What were
Yeah,
your thoughts on the trailer?
I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was quite like, oh, like, and not in a like big kind of grand thing in a way. You know when you sit in the cinema and you're just watching, you're watching the trailers and they're all kind of dull, and there's always that one that kind of pops out. Like, I think I think it really popped, if you know what I mean, with the action, the way it's actually like it's got hints towards the story, but doesn't reveal it either. It's all. I think it's a brilliant trailer. In all honesty.
Yes, yes. So, as we know, for you guys, the real hamburger is also coming back. Of course, he's reprising Sonic, obviously, and together, Sonic and Iron Man will be the two main leads of the film. I'll ask you, Rhydian, here. What do you think about like playing the main protagonist, like like from getting a role as Sonic that you never thought to get to being the main protagonist in the film, literally alongside me as Iron Man. Like, how does that feel?
It it feels a bit wild in a way. Like, it's Iron Man. It's not like usually where me and you in TLSMS, we're next to each other as Sonic and Knuckles. It's these two kind of franchise beginning characters in a way, just stood next to each other. And it's just kind of a bit of a like an amazement, if that makes sense.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it is amazing, and for also you audience guys, the real hamburger is also playing two other characters in the film. Now, and this he has done before. He has played, maybe he's not played a massive amount of characters, but he does tend to play a few characters. Wouldn't I be correct, Rudian?
Yes, I do. I do frequent on the Brickoligist Animations channel.
He's literally as frequent as my siblings. Like I'm not sure if you viewers have noticed, but there's a reason I've started, in the special thanks of my big videos. There's a specific reason why I've started, putting the real hamburger into the same, credit as my family. It's just because he practically is, from the way the amount of work he does for me, like it's absolutely unreal. But yeah, what I was gonna say anyway is that the Rhydian over here is also playing Ant-Man, who was teased in the last new Avengers film in the Tales project, and is quite a big inclusion. Now I will specify this Ant-Man is Hank Pym over Scott Lang. And let me ask you, Rhydian, would you have preferred to play Hank Pym over Scott Lang, or what are your thoughts on it?
Um, I mean, I think I'd rather play Hank Pym over Scott Lang, because the Scott Lang is in the if I'm correct here, in the Marvel films, he's played by
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd, yeah. And in a way, he has a very kind of distinct way of speaking, and I think you making it Hank Pym just kind of gave the character of Ant-Man a bit of a new life, and you know gave a bit more leadway in how I voiced Ant-Man, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. I suppose you're right. And as well, I will admit, like, Rudian, that I myself, I prefer Hank Pym. I don't know if that's a preferential thing with you, but like, when I was a younger kid, like, I grew up, with some of those Marvel comics, and like Hank Pym was my Ant-Man, and he always will
Mm.
be. So yeah. Um, and as well, I suppose I'll ask you about this, Rhydian, because this could seem like a bombshell to many viewers, but as it appears on the trailer and the promotional footage, you will also be playing middle-aged British comedian Harry Hill. Where did that come from? Where did that come out of?
Well, from what I remember happening a couple, maybe a few months back, I remember we were having discussions about um what would eventually happen in the crossover, and I remember I can't remember quite who was pitching up the idea, but they pitched up the idea of Harry Hill, and I thought in my head, oh, am I gonna come back to reprise this very iconic role I had for the Harry Hill movie too, or will it be more of a one-off type of Harry Hill? But obviously, I am back as Harry Hill, and I'm always happy to play Harry Hill. He's one of my favorites, I would say.
Yes, yes. I think it just so happened to be Cheesy Axe who proposed the idea of Harry Hill. And lads, to be
Hmm.
honest, like it is an interesting one because if it was any other character, I'd say, there'd be like a 99% chance that I decline them. Like I don't know if you could really say there were any other characters. Like maybe you could say myself as Brickoligist, or you could say Sean the Sheep. But if you were to present most other characters to me, then I'd probably decline you. So lads, to accept Harry Hill into the film is a big thing for me. But yeah, it's also something I wanted to do for Cheesy X, because I personally thought the Harry Hill 2 movie was fire. What were your take on it, lads?
Well, I can't be too vocal about it. I did end up co-writing it. I really think it's a good film. Good film.
Yes, I think there's a point to be made that it's an absolutely fire film. And
Definitely.
I suppose, as well, like writing Harry, I found extremely interesting because you have to work him in a way, I call him like the comic relief of the film. That when you've all these other serious and stoic characters, Iron Man is very serious. The Brickologist, I'm very stoic in the film. I'm more stoic than
Yeah.
Iron Man, which is kind of funny. But the reason is, I will say that Brickologist is slightly different. Like Brickologist is a bit older than me in the multiverse, and yes, and like other characters as well. Like Sam Wilson, Ant Man, Wasp, Knuckles, Shadow. Like they're all very serious and stoic, but then you get this character in Harry who who's just he's a bundle of energy, and he adds something to the film, which I don't really think that many other characters could have. Like even like I was thinking about it, like even if I added Shaun the Sheep, I don't really think he could have added as much as Harry does to the film. So lads, call it a stupid or silly play. I think it could actually work out to be one of the better parts of the film if I'm predicting so correctly. But I'll have to see what you guys think of it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, to quote Cheesy X, that's not the way I'd write Harry, but for your film, I think it works. So, yeah, let's see. And hopefully it does well. But anyway, anyway, let's move on. So, I mean, lads, when it comes to the hype around this film, how hyped do you really feel about it? Like, I'm gonna ask you now, Hamburger, when it comes to the Brickologist Animations, films of all time, look back at Nightmare, look back at New Avengers 4, A Battle for the Ages, what else? I
Hmm.
can't really think of much else. But is this film from my channel, setting up to be one of my biggest events ever?
Well, I'd definitely say yeah. After following your channel, after Arden Universe when we met, and just beginning to follow your channel from there, it's like it feels like one of the biggest pinnacle moments. I think in your career so far at this point, if that makes sense. It's like everything you've done and you've worked for has come to this now. That's what it feels like to me anyway. So yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's you're probably right in that, and even yeah, Lima, you see, I will say that I think 2 by 2 pointed this out to me. But the way Lima was done, there was definitely a lot more hype built up around Lima. But I will say, that Lima, and you'll remember this better than anyone, really, Rhydian. Lima
Mm,
kind of got developed quickly enough, and I had a load of time before the release. So, it was very easy for someone like me, to create a lot of promotional material in the months coming up. Whereas, with this, I haven't really had the chance that, I'm only really getting around to all the promotional stuff just now.
yeah.
This interview, the trailer, the 2 by 2 interview, like the shorts, they're all only in the last week. What's your opinion?
Oh, well, I think that's with such little time. I think that's probably one of the best things you can do with a project like this. Just promote it and promote it to the best of your abilities to.
Yes.
Because
Um,
sorry, you go ahead.
yeah. Go no, you go ahead. Apologies, I interrupted you.
I was gonna say just because it just feels like it needs to be seen. Like one of the things I definitely need to be seen is what I think. If
Yes.
you're a casual brickologist animations fan, please do watch the crossover.
Well, spoken well by the real hamburger. I'll ask George now as well. But yeah, George, when it comes to the hype around the crossover and just the general feeling, is this shaping up to be quite possibly the biggest brickologist animations, if not amateur animators event in history as of so far?
I would honestly say so. I mean, in terms of me being familiar with you and your universe and the amateur animators in general, I'm still fairly new, so I've not seen the release of many of your older stuff, which was perhaps hyped around the same or even more. But I can definitely say that this film is shaping up to be it's shaping up to be really it's shaping up to be massive, pretty much, because you've given it a lot of exposure. You've been talking about it for ages. I think it's looking really good, honestly. As as you make more films as well, you sort of gain more skills. So I'm guessing now you're further on down the line of your journey into animating or whatever, you'd be able to create better stuff. So I'm no pressure, but um, I've got a lot of I've got a lot of trust in it that it'll be a great film.
Yes, indeed. Spoken well by you, George. I mean, as well, lads. I mean, have you guys noticed a pattern that, since Lima, a lot of my stuff have been, it's all really been a lot of action films. New Avengers 4 was action based. A lot of TLSMS was action based. The Battle for the Ages was heavily action based. I will admit that all that action based stuff, in a way, was kind of, trying to build up to this. Because, I wanted to improve my action, that's I didn't really think my fight scenes were ever the greatest. So, I just wanted, to make Lima have that be a really good story, and then the rest after that, just improve upon my action, even. And this is a funny reference, lads. If you remember my rugby video during the year, my Bernard Jackman rugby video, it's called, I think. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
Yes.
I've actually got to go now, but thanks for having me on. Great as
Oh
always.
yeah.
Yeah, hope the rest of it goes well.
Yeah, thank you for
It's
coming,
good.
George, and we'll
No
see you
problem.
next time on the Brickoligist Animation Show.
Yeah,
Bye
see you
bye.
later. Bye.
Well, it's just you and I, so really,
Yeah.
Hamburg or Rhydian. So yes, let's continue. So I mean, yeah, I just like even what I was gonna say with that Bernard Jackman video, like the way I was kind of doing it was that, eventually, like with all these advanced actions, like even in the rugby video, what I'm trying to cut out there is that like there's a lot of advanced stuff I had to animate in that
Yeah.
because the game of rugby is a very complex one and line out moves like the set piece are very difficult, to animate. Like there's literally
Mm.
a line out scene where, yeah, man, I don't know, that was a pretty tough one to animate, but it's all for the better anyway, as we build up to this, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's even with it being like a fun little side project in a way, it does always help in improving, doesn't it?
Yes, and I don't know about you, Rhydian, but I feel as though that I have noticed with myself that I am the type of guy who gets better and better with my films as I animate more and more. Like even this year, like TLSMS was a proof of that, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I've said to you, I think I've said this to you before. I might have said this on the podcast before. Um, I do think TLSMS season two has was one of the up to episode 5 was one of the greatest runs you've ever had, and so you know,
Yes, yes.
so and the animation did improve all the way throughout that, and you could just see it. You could see every episode. So like it felt like to me anyway. It felt like it became cleaner and just smoother, but it still felt like Brickoligist Animations. Does that make
Yes, yes. I think that is a superb explanation by you, Rudian. Just to cut out of it this a little second, lads. I think maybe if wait, that's the way the standards are going. Maybe we could be receiving another special guest, but we'll have to wait and see. And I don't know if
sense?
this podcast is going to end soon because I don't want to drag it out. Like, but yeah, I suppose as well. There's some other still minor points, to talk about. Like, yeah, it's just it is amazing. Like, let me ask you as well, this Rudian. Were there any surprises, you found featuring in the crossover, or were there any exclusions which you felt as though were surprising?
Um, hmm. Uh, um, from what I read, because for me, I was excited about the crossover. When you sent me the lines, I'm like, oh, I don't want to read this all to not spoil it. Like I have it at my fingertips. So I think this is just something I like just wanted to experience. If that makes sense. Like
Yes.
big.
Mm.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Just saying yes,
I
yes.
Yeah. I just like it's one of the biggest things. Like I said earlier, it's one of the biggest things I think you've ever done. So.
Yes. I mean, as most of my viewers know, like the key characters who probably won't be in the film that, have kind of been, big enough over Brickologist Animations. Like you have the Wolverine from the New Avengers saga, but those are for very specific reasons, which, you guys will know more about after the crossover. So, yeah, and as well, I did debate about having Sticks the Badger like feature in the crossover. But to be honest, I do think that, when you had Cream and when you had Caitlin Prower, like I don't know, but I feel as though that Sticks on top of that would probably be too much. Like, wouldn't you agree, Ryan?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Sticks as a character in GLSMS is more. is more like there when someone else is gone and they're really in trouble, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, yes. I suppose. Yeah, I think that's just the way it is, But yeah, I suppose we can talk, some final stuff. Really. Tell me, was there any? Were there any? Were there any surprises? Like how do you feel, really, and about Cheesy X unfortunately backing away from the film? I actually, you know what? I'll actually cut it back there a second. I actually apologize, guys, to my viewers that I didn't mention this sooner to you guys, but yeah, like I think I might have mentioned that Chuck, my brother, like the breakthrough Brickoligist Animations voice actor, was added to the film. But I think that I don't think I mentioned that Cheesy Axe was removed, and yeah, like Hamburger, given our history with Cheesy, and a lot of the circumstances around, his projects failing, like how do you feel about the fact that he can't really be included in the film?
I just it's just upsetting in a way, like thinking back to the first ever episode of TLSMS, he was there. He was literally the first. He was the first person you'd hear uh, ever, and him not being in probably one of the biggest brickologist things or one of the biggest TLSMS things, TLSMS things. It's just like it just doesn't. In a way, like I know it's going to be good, but then in a way it feels, and then it feels like it might be missing him, but you know he's he's still around though. So
Yes, yes. I mean, it is also a bit sad, to my viewers because, like, Cheesy hasn't been in my biggest films, like, he's not been in Lima. He wasn't in New Avengers 4, and like, like the crossover was his a big opportunity for him because, like, he was playing both Shadow and Nine in it. But yes, I mean, I think it was due to vocal reasons, that he was struggling with his voice, which he unfortunately had to pull out for. And it was just, bad timing, I suppose you would say, with his returns, and a bad time, when delivering the lines. So, yes, unfortunately, he will be sitting out. But as we know, my wonderful brother Chuck will be stepping up in the role of Nine. And just a question for you, Rhydian, like how do you feel? Do you feel as though that Chuck is the right man to step up for this job?
oh, definitely, like back in the awards, of checking them out. I think he'd be brilliant, brilliant with it. This is like one of his uh, first few roles as well on the Brickoligist Animations channel, if I'm right.
Well, yes, and I do feel as though that he's becoming a bit of an issue for me in a way. And when I say that, I'm not trying to say that it's really dreadful or problematic. It's just that he's been so good. I think that we're getting to the stage where we're eventually going to have to give him a really proper main role. Like he is someone who I think is ready to stand up, with the likes of you, Hamburger, or
Oh,
Rhydian, with the likes of my
yeah.
sister, which is Chicken, with the likes of who else? Like I think you two are like you two I just mentioned there, Chicken and yourself are my two biggest voice actors. But like yes, I do believe that he is the chance, to really step up, and I think he does a good job at Nine. He puts on a little bit of a voice, which I think it'll kind of be funny. But yes, I think you guys will really enjoy it as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't really think we're getting our guest after all, just technically, and so yes, I suppose that we could probably start to wrap this up here. So I'll just ask you, Rhydian, now for your final thoughts. And yeah, as we go into the crossover tomorrow at 8 o'clock, it premieres. What are your last words, for the audience, and what's your conclusion?
Um, I'll go with my conclusion first. I think this it's I think in a way it's definitely gonna be um a big achievement for you. I think even in a more minor way, an achievement for me as well. But obviously you, of course, way bigger for you. But and yeah, for the audience, I will just say, I think the crossover is it's gonna be what you know and love from Brickoligist Animations, but with his two combined worlds with a bit of extra Harry Hill on top. So I do hope everyone enjoys, and yeah, that's my final thoughts.
Well, yes. And what wonderful final thoughts they are to end with. So I might as well give my conclusion. I myself am extremely hyped, and I do hope you guys enjoy tomorrow. But to finish up, I suppose I'll say thank you for all of those who listen week in, week out to the Brickologist Animation Show. I do apologize about the crossovers promotion campaign, being so quick, like, and so I don't know, delayed maybe. And it's up to the final week now where it's literally premiering tomorrow. But to be honest, lads, at the same time, I think I've done the best job that I can. I think it's the best job I could do for myself, for my friends, and for you guys who watch my videos. So yeah, I just hope that crossover premieres tomorrow and does as well as it can. So I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Brickologist Animations Show. Thank you
Yeah.
for listening, and I'll see you guys. Bye.